Hey everyone, welcome back to Gundam Breaker Build Guide, which was secretly the real name of the show all along. I'm just calling it now because the time is finally right. So, this is our first week back after the momentous 3.0 update, and there's a lot more to digest from it because there was a lot in that update. Now, I didn't cover it last time, but I finally got around to playing the super cool new story chapter that folds in Misa and the cast of Gundam Breaker 3, establishing this game as the true sequel to Gundam Breaker 3 and securing its place in the Gundam Breaker cinematic universe. So, first up this week is the brand new Super Sokai event, where making it super, you can do 9 step-up pulls instead of the usual 3. Now, I fully recommend anyone who gives a damn about the suits this week, do this. It's 9 pulls. In those 9 pulls, I got the Helios backpack, the Double X swords, and almost the entire Cat Quanti, except its torso. So, great on me. It's a good event, I'm not gonna lie. Now, the units this week, however, aren't that interesting. So, I mean, like, if you're not feeling it, that's cool. Now, you might think I would recommend the Helios Gundam, but I'm actually not going to. While the Helios is alright, and I'm intensely happy that I got its backpack because that's probably the best part of it, as it turns out, thanks to some glitches and exploits in the game, the Helios is going to be released later in the game as a charity unit, or a hard-to-unlock basic unit. Now, I will say that the one you can get in the gacha this week is a much stronger stat-wise version, especially if you alter it, compared to the charity alternative. But just the same, if you want to go after something, I would prioritize the Green Cat Quanti, because it's an excellent melee unit, it's the only Gundam in history with cat ears, and that allows you to make any kind of weird cat Gundam you secretly planned up your sleeve, because you're a weirdo and you like cats too much. Plus, the backpack parts are half decent too. I hooked those up to my Exia QT to give it a test drive, and I had a pretty good run with it. So either way, it's a pretty good week for backpacks, I guess. And yeah, the Super Sokai, not the worst event, and the rates are pretty good on it, so I don't feel like you're getting ripped off. So yeah, it's okay. Now, after that, the second half of the battle circuit dropped. The second half, there was a bit more pressure to clear the whole thing in under 10 minutes, but I cleared it with a few seconds to spare on the clock, and I'm still disappointed in how much they've nerfed the battle circuit. I pretty much rocked a Boring Wing Zero Totus Rider mashup for most of the second half. I am so glad I got those Totus Rider parts when they were out, but yeah, it was just way too simple and way too blasé, so I don't know, it was just like, I felt nothing. Anyway, so then there's a new weekly mission where Ono pimps out the girls at a summer beach hut, and it's very, very weird. But then there's a funny twist ending where he doesn't actually make any money. Anyway, the point of it all is that the charity unit this week is the O Gundam, the actual combat deployment version. Now, this is famously the unit that Ribbons Allmark piloted in the last episode of Gundam 00 to fight the Exia Repair 2. It was a very hilarious meta battle if you didn't see it, and it was pretty much a battle for the state of the Gundam franchise. Now, as a result, it's pretty much a weaker RX-78-2 in this game, although it does have those cool, wasteful, and beautiful G and feathers going on. Now, either way, it's a great unit to have because it's just really fun to have it. You can make up a bunch of fun things in your head when you have this thing. You can make some crazy mashups. You can make some alternate scenarios where you can imagine where the UC and 00 concepts deviated. So all in all, the O Gundam is just a fun Gundam to have because it's a 00 style RX-78-2. Anyway, because they didn't want to give you another version of Ribbons, it instead comes with a loser pilot named Lasse Aeon. Does anyone remember this guy? He was apparently the Ptolemaios' driver in both seasons of Gundam 00, but I don't remember him at all because the dude did not leave a strong impression. In my memory, I don't think he had any lines in the show, so he was just the guy sitting in the seat. Apparently, he was actually trained to be a backup Gundam Meister for the O Gundam. That's his backstory, but since the O Gundam was never really used until the last episode, I'm not sure if he ever actually piloted it. Maybe piloted a manga or a side novel or something, but I really can't find any recorded record of him actually using the thing. Anyway, so this brings us to our second extreme scenario mission. Now, this week around, it was definitely a lot harder than the Hildolfer because the O Gundam just had way more parts to work with. So it took me way more money and way more time to red out the whole O Gundam. I subparted as much as possible, but I still had to swap in the Sanandrustein's grenade launcher and the Unicorn's head to get my stats in the ballpark or where they were actually effective. Now, the suggested stats on the game were 13 million, but I came in with 11 million and I pretty much had a perfect run. So possibly the suggested stats are a little too high here, but either way, I guess the big challenge of the week now is doing this extreme scenario mission. But it's just not as fun as the old battle circuit or the old Inferno missions, so I'm still let down. Anyway, rounding out the week, we have one more crazy out of nowhere event. So, out of nowhere this week, there are 2 additional bingo boards for some super special pilots that you've never heard of. You've definitely never heard of these guys because apparently they're Japanese celebrity superfans who somehow got put into the game. One dude is a guy named Gamero Ray, who is a gay pirate in a crossdresser wig. And the other is this super sweet Japanese cinema girl named Naosuke. Now, anyway, to get these guys, you have to fight them in a series of friend battles. To fight Gamero, you need to fight him in a friend battle with the code JN6WV7XPB, and then he's rocking the Pirate Gundam account. Naosuke, on the other hand, is JNPCC0WLC. Naosuke is a sweet cinnamon roll. She's very easy to kill. Lastly, you also have to do the Gundam Breaker Challenge Suit of the Week, and the password for that is JQJSL8R6J. That's usually the main password for any weird suit that the Gundam Breaker team puts together. Now, you need to clear all 3 of these battles, and that's a major chunk of both of their bingo boards. Additionally, to fully finish the bingo boards, you need to get both of these guys to level 50 during this week, and also everyone in the world has to fight through all these missions about 100,000 times, win or lose. So if you do it once and your friend does it once and there's 2 million people playing this game, we hopefully should be good. But all the same, if you're paranoid, do it a few extra times. Oh, and last thing happening this week. I don't usually comment on this, but there is a special Setsuna FCA pilot that's only available this week if you turn in 10 build materials. Now, I've done the research and I have to go on record saying that the Setsuna is horribly, probably the strongest melee pilot in the game right now because they keep raising the roof. So that really makes it something to consider, but unfortunately I'm still trying to get enough parts together to finish the Celtsam Gundam. So I can really only see myself going after this thing if they pull a really crazy stunt this weekend like they have the past couple of weeks. But otherwise, if not, I'm going to just try to save my money and I might go back to the table for some more Helios or Cat Quanta parts, because my main thing right now is finishing the Celtsam. But all the same, if you want the Setsuna FCA, if you haven't been collecting the Celtsam, it is a really strong version of Setsuna. Again, strongest melee pilot in the game right now. Alright, so that's all I gotta say this week. It was another week chock full of content. It took me like 3 hours to clear all the new missions this week, so even though the game is easier with the 3.0 update, they've definitely put in more things to do, so that is something to take into consideration. I was me, Buster Green. I do a weekly show about Gundam Breaker Mobile. Subscribe to my channel. I am only 400 subscribers away from being monetized. Then I'll get paid for doing this. I want to be paid, you guys. Help me out here. Okay, thanks. Later.